You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You're not weak-willed or broken. You're over-dopaminized. Your brain has been hijacked by pleasure, comfort, and constant stimulation. And the worst part is that you don't even realize it's happening. Every single day, your dopamine system is being exploited by technology, food, entertainment, and instant gratification, turning you into a slave of your own cravings without you ever noticing the chains. The Stoics warned us about this thousands of years ago. Not about dopamine specifically, because they didn't have the neuroscience, but about pleasure without control, about becoming enslaved to comfort, about losing yourself in the pursuit of temporary satisfaction. Epictetus said that no man is free who is not master of himself. And right now, if you're honest with yourself, you're not the master. Your phone is. Your urges are. Your impulses are. In this video, I'm going to show you the ultimate dopamine detox using the Stoic method. Not some trendy challenge that lasts 7 days and then you go right back to your old habits. Not some extreme deprivation that makes you miserable, but a systematic, philosophical approach to reclaiming control over your mind, your motivation, and your life. This isn't about escaping the world. It's about dominating yourself. Real discipline doesn't start with willpower. It starts with how your subconscious is programmed, how your brain has been wired to seek pleasure and avoid discomfort. Later in this video, I'll show you a system that helps reset your internal drive. So stay until the end, because this is where the real transformation happens. Let's start with the truth about dopamine, because most people get this completely wrong. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. It's the anticipation chemical. It's the neurotransmitter that drives you to seek, to pursue, to take action. When you see something you want, when you anticipate a reward, when you're chasing something, that's dopamine flooding your system. The actual consumption of the reward gives you much less dopamine than the chase itself, which is why you can scroll through social media for hours without ever feeling truly satisfied. The problem with modern life is that we live in a world designed to artificially spike your dopamine constantly. Every notification on your phone is a dopamine hit. Every like on your post is a dopamine hit. Every swipe on a dating app, every autoplay on Netflix, every recommended video on YouTube, every sugary snack, every piece of junk content. It's all engineered to keep your dopamine receptors firing nonstop. Your brain is being overstimulated to the point where normal, meaningful activities that used to bring you satisfaction now feel boring, pointless, and unrewarding. This is exactly what the Stoics warn against. Epictetus talked about invisible slavery, about how people think they're free when they're actually controlled by their desires and pleasures. Seneca wrote about how excess comfort weakens the mind, how luxury and constant gratification make you soft, dependent, and unable to handle any kind of difficulty. They understood that when you lose control over your relationship with pleasure, you lose control over your entire life. The modern dopamine trap is insidious because it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same thing. Everyone is constantly stimulated, constantly distracted, constantly chasing the next hit of pleasure. But just because something is normal doesn't mean it's natural, and it definitely doesn't mean it's healthy. Your ancestors didn't have access to infinite entertainment at their fingertips. They didn't have algorithms designed to keep them hooked. They had silence, boredom, and effort, and those things built strong minds. Before you can detox from dopamine, you need to understand exactly what you're fighting against. You need to see the invisible chains clearly so you can break them. Act 1. Understanding dopamine. Dopamine is not happiness. Dopamine is not pleasure. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation, of drive, of wanting. When your dopamine system is functioning properly, it pushes you to take action, to pursue goals, to work hard for things that matter. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It's what makes you excited about your projects. It's what drives you to improve yourself and build something meaningful. But here's the critical part that most people don't understand. Dopamine is about anticipation, not achievement. The highest dopamine release happens when you're chasing the reward, not when you get it. This is why gambling is so addictive, because the uncertainty and the anticipation create massive dopamine spikes. This is why social media is so addictive, because you're constantly anticipating the next interesting post, the next notification, the next hit of novelty. When you flood your brain with artificial dopamine spikes all day long, several things happen. First, your dopamine receptors become desensitized. They need more and more stimulation to feel the same level of excitement. This is called tolerance, and it's the same mechanism behind drug addiction. Second, your baseline dopamine levels drop. This means that when you're not actively being stimulated, you feel flat, unmotivated, and depressed. Third, your brain loses the ability to find satisfaction in normal, healthy activities that require effort and patience. This is why you can't focus on your work. This is why you procrastinate constantly. This is why you know exactly what you need to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. It's not a character flaw. It's not laziness. Your dopamine system has been hijacked, and until you reset it, you're going to keep struggling with the same problems over and over again. Modern life is designed to give you artificial dopamine peaks constantly. Think about your typical day. You wake up and immediately check your phone. Dopamine spike. You scroll through social media while you eat breakfast. Multiple dopamine spikes. You watch YouTube videos or TikToks during your commute. More spikes. You listen to music or podcasts while you work. Background dopamine. You snack on processed food throughout the day. More spikes. You binge watch shows at night. Constant stimulation. Your brain is never at rest. It's never in a low dopamine state. It's constantly being pushed to seek more, consume more, feel more. And because these spikes are artificial and easy to access, your brain develops a tolerance. Real work, real relationships, real accomplishments start to feel boring and unrewarding because they don't provide the same instant gratification. This is why nothing motivates you anymore. This is why you feel numb and disconnected. This is why you can spend hours consuming content, but you can't spend 30 minutes working on something meaningful. Your dopamine system is burned out, and you need to reset it. The Stoics had a very clear perspective on pleasure that's incredibly relevant today. They didn't say pleasure was bad. They said that uncontrolled pleasure, pleasure that controls you rather than you controlling it, that's what destroys you. Marcus Aurelius wrote about how the things that seem pleasant in the moment often lead to regret and weakness later. Seneca talked about how the person who is enslaved to pleasure can never be truly free or happy. The Stoics distinguished between pleasure that you choose consciously and pleasure that chooses you. When you decide to enjoy a good meal after a day of hard work, that's conscious pleasure. When you mindlessly scroll through your phone because you're uncomfortable with silence or boredom, that's unconscious addiction. The difference is control. The goal of Stoicism and the goal of a proper dopamine detox is not to eliminate pleasure from your life. It's to establish yourself as the master of your pleasures rather than their slave. It's to train your mind so that you can enjoy things without being controlled by them, so that you can experience discomfort without immediately running away from it, so that you can choose your actions based on reason and values rather than impulses and cravings. Now let's talk about the real problem, which is addiction without awareness. Act 2. Why you are addicted without knowing it. Symptom 1. Constant need for stimulation. The first sign that you're addicted to dopamine is that you cannot handle silence or boredom. When was the last time you sat alone in a room with nothing to do and no device to distract you for more than 10 minutes? For most people, that sounds like torture. The moment they're alone with their thoughts, they feel uncomfortable, anxious, restless. They immediately reach for their phone or turn on some form of entertainment. This is not normal. This is addiction. Your brain has become so accustomed to constant stimulation that it literally doesn't know how to function in a low-stimulation environment. The Stoics practiced voluntary solitude specifically to strengthen their minds. Seneca would regularly withdraw from society to spend time alone with his thoughts. Marcus Aurelius would reflect in silence. They understood that the ability to be alone with yourself, to be comfortable in your own mind, is a fundamental requirement for inner strength. If you can't sit in silence, if you can't be bored without immediately seeking distraction, you're not in control. The discomfort you feel is your brain screaming for its next dopamine hit. And the fact that you give in every single time means you're being controlled by your cravings. Symptom 2, low discipline, high intentions. The second symptom is the gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do. You know you should work on your important projects. You know you should exercise. You know you should read more and consume less junk content. You have all the information, all the knowledge, all the intentions. But when the moment comes to actually do the thing, you don't do it. You procrastinate, you distract yourself, you choose the easy option. This is the most frustrating symptom because it makes you feel like a failure. You start to believe that you're lazy or weak or lack discipline. But the reality is that there's a conflict between your conscious mind and your subconscious programming. Your conscious mind wants to be disciplined and productive. Your subconscious mind has been programmed by years of instant gratification to avoid effort and seek pleasure. The Stoics called this the battle between reason and passion, between your rational self and your emotional impulses. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from aligning your will with reason, from training your mind so that you want to do what you should do. But you can't achieve that alignment if your subconscious is constantly pulling you toward easy dopamine hits. Symptom 3, emotional apathy. The third symptom is emotional flatness or anhedonia. Nothing really excites you anymore. You consume content, but it doesn't truly satisfy you. You achieve things, but they don't feel as rewarding as you thought they would. You go through your days feeling numb, disconnected, like you're just going through the motions without any real passion or enthusiasm. This happens because your dopamine system is depleted. You've burned out your receptors with constant overstimulation. So now your baseline is extremely low. Normal, healthy pleasures like a good conversation, a beautiful sunset, a sense of accomplishment from hard work, these things don't register anymore because your brain is calibrated for much stronger artificial stimuli. The Stoics talked about living with passion and purpose, about finding joy in virtue and meaningful action. But you can't experience the kind of deep satisfaction when your dopamine system is fried. You need to reset your baseline so that you can actually feel alive again. Symptom 4, escape behavior. The fourth symptom is constant escape behavior. Whenever you're faced with something difficult, uncomfortable, or boring, your immediate instinct is to escape into some form of stimulation. You scroll through social media. You binge watch shows. You play video games. You eat junk food. You look at pornography. You do anything to avoid sitting with discomfort or doing hard work. This is the most damaging symptom because it prevents all growth. Every time you escape discomfort, you reinforce the pattern. You teach your brain that discomfort is dangerous and must be avoided. You weaken your ability to persist through challenges. You sabotage your own progress because you can't sit with the temporary unpleasantness that comes with real work. The Stoics actively sought out discomfort to train themselves. They practiced voluntary hardship, cold exposure, hunger, physical challenges, specifically to strengthen their minds and reduce their dependence on comfort. They understood that the person who cannot handle discomfort is not free. They're controlled by their need for ease and pleasure. Here's the brutal truth that you need to understand. You can't dopamine detox if your subconscious is programmed to seek comfort and escape difficulty. That's why systems like the subconscious millionaire system are powerful, because they rewire the deep patterns that control your cravings, your focus, and your drive. You can use willpower for a few days or a few weeks, but unless you change the underlying programming, you'll always fall back into the same habits. Real transformation happens at the subconscious level, and that's what separates temporary challenges from permanent change. Act 3. The Stoic Dopamine Detoxification Method. The first phase of the Stoic dopamine detox is strategic elimination. You need to identify the sources of artificial dopamine in your life and remove them, not as punishment, but as liberation. This is not about being extreme or miserable. This is about taking back control. Start by making a list of everything that gives you easy dopamine hits. Social media, YouTube, Netflix, video games, pornography, junk food, constant music or podcasts, whatever it is for you. Then categorize them by how much control they have over you. Some things you can moderate. Some things you need to eliminate completely, at least temporarily. For most people, the big ones are the phone, social media, and entertainment streaming. These are designed to be addictive. They use variable reward schedules, infinite scroll, autoplay, algorithmic recommendations, all specifically engineered to keep you hooked. You cannot moderate something that's designed to be unmoderatable. You need to remove it completely for a period of time to reset your brain. Delete the apps from your phone. Use website blockers on your computer. Create friction between you and the behavior. The Stoics practiced what they called negative visualization, imagining life without the things they were attached to so that they could appreciate them without being enslaved by them. You're doing the same thing, except you're actually removing them to prove to yourself that you don't need them. The key is to be strategic, not extreme. Don't try to eliminate everything at once. Focus on the 2 or 3 behaviors that have the strongest grip on you. Remove those completely for at least 30 days. Give your brain time to reset without constantly being tempted. The second phase is replacement because you cannot simply create a void. If you remove stimulation without replacing it with something meaningful, you'll just feel miserable and eventually relapse. This is where the Stoic focus on virtue and meaningful action becomes critical. Replace passive consumption with active creation. Instead of scrolling social media, right? Instead of watching videos, read books. Instead of playing video games, work on a real skill. The difference is that consumption is effortless and gives you nothing, while creation is effortful and gives you genuine satisfaction. Replace easy pleasure with physical challenge. Exercise, especially difficult exercise, is one of the best ways to reset your dopamine system. Lifting weights, running, martial arts, any activity that requires effort and pushes your limits will naturally increase your dopamine in a healthy way. The Stoics believed in training the body to strengthen the mind, and modern neuroscience confirms this completely. Replace distraction with deep work. Schedule blocks of time where you do nothing but focus on one important task with no interruptions. No phone, no music, no multitasking. Just you and the work. This is incredibly uncomfortable at first because your brain is not used to sustain focus, but it's also one of the most powerful ways to rebuild your attention span and dopamine sensitivity. Replace noise with silence. Spend time every day in complete silence with no input. No music, no podcasts, no audiobooks, nothing. Just sit with your thoughts. Walk without headphones. Drive without turning on the radio. Let your mind wander and process. This is where insight happens. This is where you reconnect with yourself. The Stoics practice daily meditation and reflection specifically to cultivate this inner silence. The third phase is deliberately training your ability to handle discomfort. This is the most Stoic part of the entire process. The Stoics didn't just avoid excessive pleasure. They actively sought out hardship to strengthen themselves. Seneca would sleep on a hard bed and eat simple food. Marcus Aurelius would practice going without things he enjoyed. They understood that comfort makes you weak and discomfort makes you strong. Cold exposure is one of the most powerful tools for this. Take cold showers. Start with 30 seconds at the end of your regular shower and gradually increase. The cold is intensely uncomfortable, which is exactly the point. Your instinct is to escape immediately. And by staying in the cold, you're training your mind to override that instinct. You're proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort without running away. Fasting is another powerful practice. Not extreme fasting, but skipping a meal occasionally or doing a 16-hour fast once or twice a week. Hunger is uncomfortable, and by sitting with that discomfort instead of immediately satisfying it, you're building discipline and reducing your dependence on constant food-based dopamine hits. Voluntary boredom is equally important. Schedule time where you do absolutely nothing. No phone, no book, no activity. Just sit and be bored. Your mind will resist intensely. You'll feel anxious and restless. That's your addiction screaming for stimulation. By sitting through it, you're weakening the addiction and strengthening your ability to be comfortable with discomfort. The goal is not to be miserable. The goal is to expand your capacity for discomfort so that normal challenges and difficulties don't control you. When you can handle cold, hunger, and boredom without panicking or seeking escape. You become incredibly powerful because nothing external can disturb your inner peace. The fourth and final phase is strategic reintroduction. The goal of a dopamine detox is not to live like a monk forever. It's to reset your system so that you can enjoy pleasures without being controlled by them. After 30 to 60 days of strict elimination and replacement, you can start reintroducing certain things, but with clear boundaries and conscious control. This is where most people fail. They go through a successful detox, feel amazing, and then immediately go back to all their old habits because they never learned how to moderate. The Stoic approach is different. You reintroduce pleasures slowly, deliberately, and with strict rules. If you want to watch entertainment, schedule it. One movie on Friday night, not mindless hours of streaming every day. If you want to use social media, set a timer. 10 minutes once a day to check messages, not constant scrolling throughout the day. If you want to eat junk food, make it a conscious choice. One planned meal per week, not impulsive snacking every time you're slightly hungry or bored. The key is that you're in control. You decide when, how much, and under what circumstances. The pleasure doesn't decide for you. Your cravings don't decide for you. You maintain your position as the master, and the pleasures are your servants that you use when you choose, not when they demand. This is the Stoic ideal. Not deprivation, not suppression, but domination. You enjoy life fully, but you're never enslaved by your enjoyments. You can take them or leave them. You're free. Act 4. Reprogramming one's identity. The most important part of this entire process is understanding that this is not a temporary challenge. This is not something you do for a month and then go back to normal. This is an identity shift. You're not someone who is trying to detox from dopamine. You are someone who has control over their mind and their impulses. You're not someone who is attempting to be disciplined. You are a disciplined person. The difference between these two mindsets is everything. When you see yourself as someone who is trying to change, you're constantly fighting against your own identity. Every time you're faced with a temptation, you have to use willpower to resist it because your default identity still wants the easy pleasure. But when you shift your identity at the core level, the behavior becomes natural. You don't have to fight against yourself because you're simply being who you are. This is exactly what the Stoics taught. They didn't focus on trying to be good or trying to be disciplined. They focused on becoming a certain type of person of virtue, a person of reason, a person who lives according to nature. When that identity is solid, the actions follow naturally. So stop saying I'm trying to quit social media. Say I don't use social media because I value deep focus and meaningful relationships. Stop saying I'm trying to eat better. Say I'm someone who respects my body and fuels it properly. Stop saying I'm trying to be more disciplined. Say I'm a disciplined person who does what needs to be done regardless of how I feel. Here's the problem with willpower. It's a limited resource. You can use it for a while, but eventually it runs out, and when it does, you fall back into your default programming. Your default programming is your subconscious, the patterns and beliefs and habits that have been wired into your brain through years of repetition. This is why most people fail with dopamine detoxes and discipline challenges. They're using their conscious willpower to fight against their subconscious programming, and the subconscious always wins in the long run. It's like trying to drive a car forward while the emergency brake is engaged. You might move for a little while, but you're fighting against yourself the entire time, and eventually you burn out. Real transformation happens when you align your subconscious with your conscious goals. When your subconscious is programmed for discipline, focus, and long-term thinking, you don't have to fight yourself anymore. The right actions become automatic. The healthy choices become natural. You don't have to constantly remind yourself to do what you know you should do, because your entire internal system is aligned in the same direction. This is where systems like the subconscious millionaire system become incredibly valuable. They work specifically on reprogramming those deep subconscious patterns that control your behavior. It's not about motivation or willpower. It's about changing the fundamental programming so that discipline, focus, and long-term success become your default mode of operation rather than something you have to force yourself to do. The Stoics understood this intuitively. They talked about training the mind through constant practice, through daily reflection, through repetition of principles until they became second nature. They were essentially reprogramming their subconscious through philosophical practice. Modern tools just make that process more efficient and direct. The final piece of permanent transformation is establishing a daily practice that reinforces your new identity and keeps your mind aligned with your values. The Stoics had specific daily rituals that they followed without exception, and you need to do the same. Morning reflection is the foundation. Every morning, before you do anything else, spend 10 to 15 minutes preparing your mind for the day. Review your principles. Remind yourself of who you are and who you're becoming. Visualize the challenges you'll face and how you'll respond with discipline and reason rather than impulse and emotion. This sets the frame for your entire day. Marcus Aurelius started every day by reminding himself that he would encounter difficult people, unexpected obstacles, and temptations to fall back into old patterns. By preparing himself mentally, he was never caught off guard. He always knew how he would respond because he had already decided in advance. Evening review is equally important. Every night before bed, spend 10 minutes reviewing your day. What did you do well? What did you fall short? What patterns do you notice? What will you do differently tomorrow? This is not about beating yourself up. This is about honest self-assessment and continuous improvement. The Stoics called this the examination of conscience, and it's one of the most powerful tools for growth. The key is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to be perfect every single day. You need to show up every single day. Progress over perfection. The person who is 80% consistent for a year will transform completely. The person who is perfect for a month and then quits will stay exactly the same. Build your daily code around the principles we've discussed. Remove artificial stimulation. Replace it with meaningful action. Train your discomfort tolerance. Reintroduce pleasures with control. Reinforce your identity through morning reflection and evening review. Make this your non-negotiable system, and your entire life will change. Let's bring this all together. Dopamine is not the enemy. Dopamine is the molecule that drives you to take action, to pursue goals, to build and create and improve. The problem is that modern life has hijacked your dopamine system, giving you constant artificial spikes that burn out your receptors and drain your baseline motivation. When you're over-dopaminized, you become a slave to your impulses and cravings. You know what you should do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. You consume constantly, but never feel satisfied. You're distracted, unmotivated, and disconnected from yourself. This is the invisible slavery that the Stoics warned about thousands of years ago. The solution is not more motivation. The solution is less stimulation and more control. You need to reset your dopamine system through strategic elimination, meaningful replacement, deliberate discomfort training, and conscious reintroduction. You need to shift your identity from someone who tries to be disciplined to someone who is disciplined by nature. You need to align your subconscious programming with your conscious goals so that you're not constantly fighting yourself. This is not a 7-day challenge. This is a way of life. This is the Stoic path, the path of mastery over yourself, of freedom from external control, of living according to reason and virtue rather than impulse and pleasure. When you walk this path, everything changes. Your focus sharpens. Your motivation returns. Your satisfaction with life deepens. You become the person you always knew you could be. The Stoics believe that the only true freedom is internal freedom. The freedom to choose your response to any situation. The freedom to live according to your values regardless of external circumstances. That freedom starts with control over your own mind and your own impulses. That freedom starts with a dopamine reset. If you're serious about mastering your dopamine, your discipline, and your future, I highly recommend the Subconscious Millionaire System. It perfectly complements the Stoic method by rewiring your subconscious to work for focus, discipline, and long-term success rather than against you. It's not about quick fixes or motivation. It's about fundamental reprogramming at the level that actually creates lasting change. The link is in the description below. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button, Subscribe for more content on discipline, philosophy, and becoming the master of your own life. And comment the word control down below to lock in your commitment to this transformation. The only person standing between you and the life you want is the version of yourself that's still enslaved to comfort and instant gratification. Break those chains. Take back control. Live like a Stoic.